Do you want to end mindless scrolling? Do you want to wipe out noises from your thoughts, be more productive, and also be more mindful about yourself? Keep on watching. We all know why we are here, so there is no need to beat about the bush. Here are tips on how to end your social media addiction. The first thing you need to take into consideration to end your social media addiction is to be intentional. Be intentional in taking control of your life. Reset your brain. Be aware that you are in this for a long time and it will take a long time for you to start seeing progress. Also, ensure you make deliberate choices that would further support you in making sure that you are on the right journey in breaking off your addiction. So if you want to break off social media addiction and you are not intentional, my dear, you are deceiving yourself. You need to be very much aware of what you are doing, right? You need to take the bull by the horn. If you don't take the bull by the horn, it's only a matter of days. It's only a matter of weeks before you slip back into your addiction. So if you know you want to really break off from always, mindless scrolling and, just spending so much time on social media without being productive, then you need to be very intentional about your decisions. You need to be very intentional about your choices, things that would actually help you to make sure that you break off your addiction. So have that in mind. The next thing you should do is to delete your social media apps. Yes, especially TikTok and Instagram. These two apps that I've just mentioned are notorious for making people to engage in mindless scrolling because of how it is programmed. It is programmed in such a way that there are so many videos. There are reels, there are TikTok videos, and you keep on scrolling and scrolling. There are several and thousands and millions of videos to see. You would never get tired. You would never get to the end of it. So when you are trying to delete apps, make sure that Instagram and TikTok are one of the first apps you delete. And now this is no shades to these apps. I mean, there are so many things one could gain from the apps that I just mentioned. But let's not forget that we are on a journey to break off our addiction to social media. So definitely these apps should be part of the apps that you delete from your phone. Delete it without thinking twice. When you finish watching this video, go to your phone, iPhone, Android, and delete those apps. I know I said you should delete apps, but I know that there are some apps that cannot be deleted. Maybe apps like WhatsApp, because you need to communicate with people on a daily basis. People need to reach out to you, and WhatsApp is like the biggest platform for such activities, right? Yeah, you can keep WhatsApp, you can keep Telegram, because at the end of the day, you cannot exactly get addicted to apps like this, right? So yeah, and also if you feel like you don't want to delete YouTube because you feel you could gain a lot from YouTube. I mean, YouTube can be addicting, and I think the addiction can also be controlled in a way, because most of the time, if you are the type that goes to YouTube is just like a school, like an institution where you go to learn so many things. I mean, you are about to learn how to curb your social media addiction. That's why you're watching this video currently, right? So if you think there are some apps that are very much important to you and you use every single time and they don't really impact negatively to you than other apps, then you could leave those apps, right? But the catch is, ensure you make use of silence notifications. For Android phone, if you don't want to be disturbed by notification, just click on the silence feature and then you do not get to be distracted. But if you want to take it a step further, you can set your phone on focus mode so that you don't get distracting messages from some of these apps, right? And I think focus mode is now available on Android. It is both available on Android and iPhone, right? So I noticed that when I use focus mode on my iPhone, when I receive messages on WhatsApp or any other platform, I am not aware because there is no notification pop-ups, right? So it just feels like nobody is sending me any messages, and that is when I can easily concentrate on other things that I want to do, right, without getting distracted. Next thing I want to talk about is time limit. Time limit. I think it's also available on Android. You could go to settings and locate digital well-being and parental control. From there, you can, set limits on time limits on how much time you want to spend on a particular app or on your phone in general. You can also set daily time limits on apps that you use, right? So for some apps, I think it comes with time limits comes with it. I know that Instagram has time limits, right? So if your Instagram is part of the apps that you feel like you cannot let go of because perhaps you're using it for business and you cannot exactly let go of it, because that would be you putting a stop to your online business, right? I'm just giving an example. It could be any app, right? So what you should do is to go to Instagram setting and look for time limits and set that time limit, so that when it is that particular time, or perhaps whatever time you've set, you know that you can no longer gain access to the app because you have reached the time limit. You can also download apps that offers screen time limitation. Apps like Studio, Apple Screen Time, and Google Family Link. If you think your phone or the apps cannot do justice to time limits, you can use these apps, any of these apps that I've mentioned, but make sure that you check the reviews and see if it's free or paid before you go ahead to use the app. Because I've never tried any of these apps, but I went to research to make sure that, okay, this app is actually a reasonable one, right? But you should still go ahead to do your research and also read reviews so that you know if it's something that you can actually use. Next thing I want to talk about is replace social media with physical fun activities. Before the advent of social media or even phone in general, there are a lot of fun activities that we normally do, right? So discover what you like, discover something that you consider fun and would bring that, gratification that you would normally get from social media, or even better than what you would get from social media, and channel your energy on it. Could be reading, listening to podcasts, going out on a solo date, watching a movie, a good movie, visiting friends, something that would replace the time that you spend on social media. I feel like you should channel your energy on that so that you do not feel entirely bored to the point where you start missing some of your social media apps and be very tempted to go back to using them. Next thing I want to talk about is setting a realistic goal. Very, very, very important. If you know that you want to sincerely break off your social media addiction, then you need to set realistic goal. Why did I say realistic goal? Because so many of us are actually in a delusional world, and the fact that we are being delusional does not help us. Because at the end of the day, if I want to break off social media and I'm putting a goal of, within 1 week I would eventually break off from my addiction to social media, or within a month I would eventually break off my addiction to social media, I am lying to myself. I'm being delusional, because addiction is a very, very strong thing, and it takes a while. The process of you entangling yourself from whatever you are addicted to, apart from social media itself, is so slow. So you need to take your time. That's why I said being intentional. You know that this journey I'm about to go into is a very difficult one and will require a lot of time, commitment, intentions in making sure that things work out the way it should. So setting realistic goal, it could be that I'm going to stay off social media for 6 months, not 1 week, not some days. Let's see how that pans out. You're already off social media between January and June. So you look back, this is what I was able to gain while I was off social media. I was more productive. I was able to do more fun activities. I was able to be very, very tailored in my thought. I was able to block out the noise in my thoughts. I was able to focus on myself. And then you take it another step further, another 6 month challenge of me staying off social media. Now 6 plus 6 equals to a year, 12 months, right? And from there, with consistency, it becomes a habit. By it becoming a habit, it gradually becomes your identity. You are now getting so used to not being on social media, which will further help you. So perhaps you're not permanently staying off social media, you just want to tackle the addiction, right? So when you're coming back to social media, it is not exactly as interesting as it normally would be, because you've reset your brain in making it not heavily dependent on social media apps or social media platforms for gratification. Do you understand? So it takes a long while, 1 year, 2 years, it depends on the level of your addiction. You know yourself better, so you need to set realistic goals. The last thing I want to talk about in breaking off your addiction to social media is rewarding yourself. There is this sweetness of you getting to reward yourself, or you getting rewarded after something is being accomplished. You notice yourself that you've been very consistent. Perhaps you set a goal for 6 months and you're able to ace it without, relapsing, or without going back to social media, or going to go and download the apps again after you've deleted them. And you went another 6 months and you feel like you saw that yes, you're actually getting better. Reward yourself. It kind of help you psychologically, giving yourself a pat on the back for job well done. And that is actually a good service for yourself to yourself. Always reward yourself. It could be anything. It could be monetary reward. It could be anything. So we've come to the end of today's video. I hope you enjoyed watching. Remember, social media would either break or mar you, and if you're seeing yourself to be going into the wrong direction, or you're negatively affected by social media, it is only right for you to break off from your addiction, which is why this video is very, very important. So if you've watched to this point, please make sure you follow all the steps that I've mentioned, and I hope that by the time you've followed each of the steps that I mentioned religiously, you would see positive results. So I'll see you on the next video shortly. Bye.